The U.S. was to recognize themselves as a de facto government. It was formulated, and it was made international public law, pronounced against intervention of one state to another state, especially an American national state. But U.S. is to be recognized as de facto government. They're not operating with the national principles. They don't have a nationality. It's just like how the Moors said. And you have Prophet Noble Drew Ali that was there at Havana, Cuba when this was going down, with his legs crossed as a delegate, just like all the others. The U.S. delegate, all of them had their legs crossed. So whatever that is. But again, one of these presidents was going off about U.S. because while they're there talking about unity and peace, European bankers in U.S. is colonizing Nicaragua to invest in making a canal in Nicaragua to connect the Atlantic and the Pacific Ocean. And they were speaking about how U.S. was using military intervention in Nicaragua at the same time we talking about this peace and unity. And meanwhile, U.S. messed up and said that they was assuming they was going to get to use the open door policy in Morocco. But that didn't go down because they are to be recognized as de facto government. And measuring that with de jure government of a national, no, they don't have this power, but they're still using military intervention. That in Havana, Cuba, at least, it was stated, Declaration of Principle. The Committee on International Public Law has already pronounced against such intervention and rules for the recognition of a de facto government here also been formulated. Right of U.S. to intervene nations soon be reached. Two factions at PAN conference expected reach understanding. Havana, February 17th. 1928. It appears that the agreement in the Pan American Conference over some questions involving the right of the United States to intervene in the affairs of another American nation will be reached within the next few days by the subcommittee. And you know what came down, that they was not to intervene. 222141, that's the A1 status. Two factions, one headed by the United States and the other by Argentina, are expected to adopt a ruling which will make it plain that no nation has to fear intervention as long as its affairs are conducted satisfactorily, but leaving the United States with the right to intervene if foreign property is seriously menaced. So you'll have to get into that. Another subcommittee reported it had reached full agreement on the treaty for reorganization of the Pan American Union. No, but Drew Ali had them flipping, man. American Union, except in the matter of removal of economic barriers, which is advocated by Argentina but opposed by the United States. PAN conference to end in few days. Optimism reigns. What is their optimism? Let's see. Greatest stumbling block is pending proposal intervention. Havana, February 16th. The Havana Committee on Initiatives has fixed Monday, February 20th as the date for final adjournment on the Pan American Conference. After hearing the reports of progress made by the committee, it was decided business could be completed in the time allowed. This decision emphasizes that the greatest stumbling block to an early harmonious agreement among the 21 participating nations is the pending proposal to condemn all military intervention as contrary to international law. So they're saying that the stumbling block to an early harmonious agreement among the 21 participating nations is the pending proposal to condemn all military intervention, which U.S. is not supposed to be running upon people with firearms. They're de facto. There is encouraging signs that this obstacle will be overcome through compromise by the subcommittee. Mexico and Salvador are not now as determined in demanding no intervention. So the stumbling block is there are those that want to use military intervention. And that's what we're speaking about, the canal in Nicaragua. And they had these bankers. And as soon as I heard 13 bankers was invested in it, it automatically drew me to where it said Noble Drew Ali was speaking to the rich Europeans, telling them about their finance in the post office. Because at the time, 1928, the biggest headquarters for the post office in North America was being built or about to be built in Chicago. And it was built, and it's huge. So Noble Drew Ali may be invested in that. Because on that ticket that he has, it sure enough says stock. So there was stock that was invested. But yes, we need the mechanism of what Noble Drew Ali wanted us to use, you know. But Allah guides the movement, so when them keys are released, we better use them and find them. I just know the prophecies have great things in store for you Moors. And the prophet said them, so they're going to happen. Just remember, the prophet said you have great things in store in the prophecies. And I hope I get to see that. Why y'all walking to the door for? We ain't done yet. Let's do this Pan-American disunion. The question arose at Havana conference on the subject of intervention. During the past 20 years, the United States has sent gunboats and Marines to Cuba, Haiti, Honduras, Santo Domingo, Mexico, Nicaragua, has forcibly dominated the internal affairs of these countries, and in several cases, notably in Haiti, Mexico, and Nicaragua, has shed much blood before it could impose its will upon the local populations. In certain cases, Cuba, for example, provision for intervention is made by treaty. Is this right? Should the United States, with a population of 120 million and a big army and navy, intervene in Nicaragua with its 650,000 defenseless citizens? Whether right or not, it is done. While the Pan American Conference was meeting in Havana, United States Marines on Nicaragua territory were shooting Nicaraguan citizens who dared to resist the intervention of the United States military forces in the internal affairs of the country. This is what was going down at Pan American Conference. They was hitting United States like a piñata with the stick of truth. And that's what was happening. They was getting whipped with a piñata acacia. For real. Islam. So while they was talking about all unity and peace among all nations for perpetual peace, they was getting on US about all they BS with the canal and all. If you could only see in person the stare of truth from Noble Drew Ali at this time. See, that's why I made sure to leave the heat at the end. So, you know, the Moors and Muslim sons that come in to study, you know, the real studiers that stay to the end of the video, they'll get the fire at the end because they stayed. You know what I'm saying? Some done left. I done watched them walk out the door. But always remember, the temple's within. This Muslim made a temple out of a tree, brothers and sisters. One of my favorite images at a Almanac is this brother right here. Islam to this Muslim. Jumping in the cares of the world, screaming cannonball. If I can speak to Taj, where's Hannibal? They surrounding the elder like cannibals. Got them chained in the basement, sitting on a stool. It's not understandable, but I'm not a fool. So I'ma study in Ali's school. Tools of the mind spin like spools. We pray divine while they stay cruel. Waving the red flag in front of a bull. Get your hook, line, and sinker, that's a jewel. Wolves garbed in wool.